former U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright has passed away. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why are we wasting time on this war criminal? Well, I would just want to show you the sort of reactions that this news has received. So first of all, the Department of State, which she headed, they posted this. They said, "We mourn the passing of Madeleine Albright and extend condolences to her family and colleagues." And then, of course, another war criminal chimed in, Mr. Barack Obama. And he said, "As the first woman to serve as America's top diplomat, Madeleine Albright was a champion for democratic values." I want to show you Ned Price. So Ned Price is, of course, the spokesperson for the State Department. Let's see what he had to say about Madeleine Albright's passing. And again, for those of you who don't know what her career was like, again, I'm putting it mildly, we'll get to that in a moment.
And Ned, before I let you go, we learned yesterday the very sad news that former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, the first female Secretary of State, passed away yesterday. She's someone who had a huge impact on the State Department. I assume had a huge impact on you as well. How is she being remembered today there at the State Department?
Well, she's being remembered as the towering figure that she was. And I say that about someone who wasn't quite 5 feet tall, but she was towering in this building. She was towering and will be towering in the pantheon of American foreign policy and diplomacy. She's remembered in this building as Secretary Albright, as Ambassador Albright. I knew her as a colleague, as Professor Albright, but also as a mentor. And that is what has struck me as I've thought about her legacy as someone, again, who was not quite 5 feet tall. Her wingspan was impossibly long because she took so many of us under her wing, giving us opportunities that we otherwise would not have had. I would not be where I am today. I know there are so many in this building who would not be where they are today were it not for Madeleine Albright. She will be dearly, deeply missed, and our thoughts are with her family.
Wow. What a load of verbal diarrhea. Moving on. Here's Blinken. He said Madeleine Albright was a brilliant diplomat, a visionary leader, a courageous trailblazer, a dedicated mentor. You know, that's a lot of words just to say war criminal. It's like they're trying so badly. Like, what buzzwords can we use to avoid revealing who she was? Come on, guys, help me write this. Biden said Madeleine Albright was a force for goodness, grace, and decency. Decency, that's a good one. Hers were the hands that turned the tide of history. That's a very peculiar way to describe that. Even George Bush, he shared a painting of Albright to honor the former Secretary of State. So from one war criminal to another, right? Lovely. I mean, honestly, should probably have Bush tried just for that painting alone. Never mind the war in Iraq. Here's the New York Times. Let's take a look at what the New York Times did. They put together this little compilation. And they said Madeleine Albright, a brilliant analyst of world affairs and the first woman to serve as U.S. Secretary of State, has died at 84. Let's take a look at the video.
Look at us, look at us. You also know what it's like to step off that plane with the words United States of America.
I state your name.
I, Madeleine Corbell Albright,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
Madeleine Albright has the strength and wisdom to help ensure that America remains the indispensable nation.
We must not shy from the mantle of leadership, nor hesitate to defend our interests, nor fail in our commitments, nor diverge from the principles that have defined, elevated, and sustained our nation for more than 200 years.
Blah, blah.
Let us proceed. Thank you very much.
I love how they say Miss Albright dealt with regional conflicts in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yeah, and I suppose you're gonna tell me next that George Bush dealt with regional conflicts in the Middle East. What a nice way to put that. What a nice way to frame that, right? Oh, goodness.
If we are complacent or timid or unwilling,
I think it's really interesting that the New York Times, they put together this nice compilation and they forgot the best video of Madeleine Albright. They forgot the best one. I'm honestly, this is insulting. So, you know, guys, I'm going to take the liberty to play this for you. I think honestly it really reflects the charisma and the character and the professionalism and the decency. That's a big one. The decency of Madeleine Albright. Shall we take a look?
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
So, for those of you who are not in the loop, half a million children died in Iraq from sanctions. So again, for those people who think that sanctions are some kind of joke and they don't, you know, they're like a peaceful alternative to war, you know, I don't know what to tell you. You're kidding yourself. So these are sanctions the U.S. pushed for. She pushed for them. And they killed 500,000 children in Iraq, 500,000 children. And you just saw her reaction. She says it was worth it. Who do these people think they are to say these things, to make these decisions? Like, who are you to decide it's worth it? Like, who gave you the right to kill people, starve people to death in Iraq for whatever agenda you have? Who gave you that choice? Who are you to say that? She's a mass murderer. You know, if someone killed 500,000, 500,000 American children, starved them to death, you think the media would have any issue calling them a mass murderer? Of course not. Of course not. And yet, every single thing I showed you, so again, Ned Price, Barack Obama, the State Department, Blinken, Biden, The Hill, George Bush, the New York Times, they don't make any mention of this. The BBC is the same thing, right? In the UK, the same thing. So they have all these nice quotes from Madeleine Albright, except that one, the one that I just played to you, where she says that it was worth it to starve 500,000 Iraqi children to death. And then, of course, this clip that in the New York Times, they put all these nice little clippings together. They didn't put that one in, of course. Why don't you put that in? Why are you so scared? No one's twisting her words. She was very clear. There's no misinterpretation going on here. She was very, very clear. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to include that. Do you see how they're all trying to rehabilitate her? And the only thing is say she's a woman. See, this mass murderer had a vagina, so that makes it okay. Ha! Uncle Joe's Rainbow Coalition death cult. They're more interested in the fact that she's a woman, not because she's a woman in a position of leadership, but because she behaves like everyone else in Washington, D.C. That's what counts. That's what makes her so admired among these politicians. You see, Republicans, Democrats alike. That's the thing, is because she's just like them. And the thing, oh, she's a woman, is just, you know, that's just something to throw in there to silence criticism and try to distract a little bit. It's like, yeah, come on, you're not going to criticize the first female Secretary of State, are you? Oh, get out of here, man. Get out of here. And I want to show you some of her other lovely accomplishments. Someone put together a very succinct thread. I showed you the thing with the 500,000 Iraqi children. Here's some other things, right? So in 1998, Albright helped Chilean dictator Pinochet return to Chile when he was arrested by the UK and faced extradition to Spain under international law. So again, this is a huge, because I'm covering the Assange case. He's also facing extradition, and this is all, we always talk about this amongst ourselves, that, you know, they made sure that guy did not face justice. They made sure that he escaped accountability, right? But for Assange, they're going to make sure he's extradited. You see the difference? It's in the same country, in London, in the UK. And so just going back to this, in 1998, Madeleine Albright helped Pinochet return to Chile when he was arrested by the British and faced extradition to Spain. Even the UN High Commissioner on Human Rights backed the extradition, saying it was extremely important for human rights defenders. Of course, international law is, pick and choose. And then she gave a speech. It's Miami-run Radio Marti, which broadcast in Cuba in 1999. And she called for an international coup against Fidel Castro, right? And of course, under the pretext of a, quote, peaceful and democratic transition, which is just another way of saying let's get rid of the communists and the socialists and anyone we don't like. And of course, Albright was a key actor in the expansion of NATO. Of course, you just saw her. She's landing in former Yugoslavia, inspecting the troops, the mass murderer coming to inspect the battlefield. So she was a key actor in the expansion of NATO. Even when George Kennan, the architect of the Soviet containment policy during the Cold War, said that NATO expansion would start a new Cold War, Albright called for expansion nonetheless. And that, as of course, as you all know, NATO expansion is one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, for the war in Ukraine right now, without a question, without a doubt. And so she supported not just expansion, but multiple NATO wars around the world, right? So she supported the NATO intervention in Kosovo. I think that's a funny word to use, intervention. People don't call what Russia is doing in Ukraine an intervention. Apparently, that's a no-no. So I don't know why NATO should be called. And of course, what NATO did is far more brutal by all from what we can see right now. In any case, she supported that Albright, and it was called Madeleine Albright's War in 1998. She also supported the NATO invasion of Afghanistan. Of course she did, right, in 2001. And the list goes on and on. So one thing that was quite funny, someone made an edit here because you had the Young Turks who interviewed Madeleine Albright once. So the caption says, preview of new Anna Kasparian interview with Madeleine Albright.
And to have a conversation with the former U.S. Secretary of State under Bill Clinton, Madeleine Albright. Madeleine Albright is actually the first female Secretary of State in the U.S., and it is a pleasure to have you here. It's an honor to have a conversation with you.
Well, I'm delighted to be interviewed by you. Thank you very much. I didn't say that. I have to tell you, I have forever been saying that there's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other.
Right.
Therefore, I was looking at Hillary and I said, there's a special place in hell.
Secretary Albright, it's a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to encourage all of you to also take part in this conversation by commenting in the comment section below. Welcome to your...
Oh, man. Yo, I got to be honest. I don't like to, I don't like to make fun of the dead or speak ill of the dead. But, I just find it disgusting that they're all revering this war criminal, this butcher who happens to be a woman. Like, who cares, a woman or man? I care about what she did and her policies. What are her policies? It's the same old crap. She's no different from, any other Secretary of State, anyone else in Washington, D.C. or Whitehall for that matter. That's the issue here. You understand? And so I think it's revolting how they all rehabilitate these war criminals. I guarantee you, when George Bush dies, they'll do the same thing. They did that with his father, of course. They did the same thing with Donald Rumsfeld, who was also no, he was Secretary of Defense, but he also died not long ago. Colin Powell died not long ago. He was Secretary of State. They rehabilitate these guys. It's like, yeah, whatever. He killed 1 million people in Iraq. She killed 500,000. Whatever. It's no big deal. They were decent. Decent. What a nice word. I'm pretty sure a lot of Iraqis would disagree with you. I even saw actually people who were children at that time, who are now, our age, on Twitter saying, I don't have the exact tweet now, but someone was saying that, quote, I was one of those children in Iraq who starved, who was impacted by the sanctions, and I almost died because I couldn't get asthma medication. So there are people who survived that and also suffered. It's not just 500,000 people died. There are people who lived through it and they suffered too, right? So the figure is much bigger than that. Thank you very much, Madeleine Albright.